What is going on? It is Gino Bonino, guys. I am going to finally do the number 3 of my series of 101 rules, if you will, commandments for comic book investing or comic book buyers. This one I'm going to talk about eBay, and the reason that I think it's kind of a current subject is because, as you know, we're all stuck in the house. Our comic book stores are closed because of the coronavirus, and we don't have an outlet to kind of fulfill our comic book fix, and for that reason a lot of us are going to eBay. On the flip side, a lot of people need money because unfortunately they've been laid off, so they're using eBay as a way to sell stuff. And I hear often people will say they had bad experiences, people gotten scammed, people this, people that, and I get it. I mean, I will tell you this. I don't think eBay is a bad place. I think it's kind of like anything else. It's a tool, and it depends on how you use the tool. So I'm going to explain a couple, if you will, tips, a couple insider tricks that I learned over experience, and these are things that you can apply or not. I'm going to put it out there. You can decide if it's something that makes sense to you or something that you think is bogus, and you decide. I will tell you this. For about 10 or 12 years, I made a living selling men's clothing on eBay of all crazy things. Basically, I used to be a dry cleaner for movies, TV, and all that kind of stuff I've talked about before. Through that, I learned how to clean stuff. So what I would often do is go and find stuff that people thought was ruined. They got marker on it, or they've got something they didn't think could be removed, and they would give it to Goodwill or whatever. I would pick it up, fix it, clean it, do whatever, and then resell it. I did that with concert t-shirts, Rolling Stones, vintage stuff, and high-end golf clothes, Tommy Bahama and all that kind of stuff, and did very well for, like I said, about 10 or 12 years. Made a living doing that. I did that full time. The problem was, back then it was sort of a computer-based program. That was the only game in town. But then what happened is slowly it transferred over to application-based, mobile-based, phone stuff. And then what happened is competitors basically came and took the clothing market, at least, completely demolished it. You can still do it, but it's much harder because you have like Poshmark, and you have, Etsy, and you have a bunch of competitors that just weren't the bigger games in town when it was a computer-based program. So, again, it just sort of screwed things up. But I learned a lot of tips and tricks and things like that as far as buying and selling, what you can apply towards comic books, because it's actually very, very similar. I will tell you this. I know, like I said, I've heard a lot of people say, what, beware of scammers, beware this, beware that. And all I'll say is this. I ran a tight ship. I think I did things honest. I tried to be truthful. I tried to have good pictures. I tried to give good customer service, send things out in a timely fashion. And in the 10 or 12 years that I did it, I maybe had 5 transactions that went upside down, where I got scammed or things went bad. But overall, again, I would say, and again, that happens in anything. If you have a brick and mortar store, you're going to have people steal from you. You're going to have people that work for you steal from you. You're going to have people that take stuff and use it and bring it back for a refund. That's in the business world. That's called shrinkage, and that's part of any kind of business, online, brick and mortar, you name it. So you just have to deal with that. eBay is no different. But if you run a tight ship, like I said, and you're honest with people, and you're truthful, and you try to be nice, and you try to deal with stuff that's, then you'll find that you'll cut down on your nonsense a lot. So let's talk again about eBay specifically. First, let's talk about you being the seller. You really have 2 options. You can sell things either with an auction, straight on auction, or you can sell things buy it now. If you have a comic book that you have a lot of money invested in, let's say you bought something for $150, you want to sell it, you want to double your money, you want to sell it for $300. My recommendation would be to put it in with a buy it now listing, a buy it now option. And the reason for this is you could get burned. If you have $150 invested in something, it's possible that that comic book could sell for less than $150. Happens all the time. And there's could be a lot of different things. The market gets flooded. The book is no longer hot. As you know, the comic book market changes almost on an hourly basis, or certainly a daily basis, and a weekly basis. So books that were hot today aren't necessarily hot tomorrow. And another thing is people's attention are going all over the place. We're inundated with information about who's going to be in what movie's coming, and what book is hot, and what this person's collecting. And that's why it's so easy the people's attentions tend to bounce all over the place. So if that's the case, and you put something in with a buy it now option, you have a choice what you want to sell it for, number one. Also, what I'd recommend doing is put a or best offer option on there. And what happens then is people will come in with best offers. And you can make a determination. This has been up for 3 months, or it's been up for a week, and I need the money. So at that point, you can decide to sell it for less. The problem with putting something up for an auction, if you don't protect yourself, let's say you put something up at that $150 book, you put it up a starting bid of $2. And it ends up, now it's no longer a hot book. The actor that you thought was going to be in the movie that the book's about broke his leg, or put out a press release, said that he can't do it because of contract problems, or, there's a million things that can happen. That book no longer gets bids or much play, and somebody comes in smart, puts a $50 bid on it, wins it for $50, now you're out $100. It can happen. So what I recommend, if it's something that you bought off the shelf as a kid, if you paid $1.50 for it or $3 for it, put it up as an auction. Profit. If you make profit, you're happy. You got the fair market value for what it's going for, and that's fine. But if you want to protect your investment, that's when you want to use a best offer and a buy it now option. So that would be my recommendation. I tell people that all the time. Now let's talk about how eBay works, because this is going to be an important thing to know going forward, what I'm going to talk about. eBay basically works like this. If you put in, let's talk about just a plain old basic comic book that's let's say with a starting price of 99 cents. And you put in a bid. Okay, the person starts out at 99 cents, and you put it in. You're willing to pay $2 for that comic. So you put a $2 bid on that comic book. The comic only jumps to the 99-cent first bid. Okay, I hope you can see this. Sorry about that. It jumps to 99 cents. That's the first bid. If nobody bids against you, even though you're willing to pay $2 for it, it stays at this 99 cents, and you win it for that. So that's the way eBay works. The only time your bids jump is if somebody bids against you for more than you bid. So if this 99-cent comic, somebody comes in now and bids $1.25, it doesn't stay 99 cents. It jumps to $1.25, but you have a $2 bid in it, so it'll go up about another, say, 20 cents. So it'll be about $1.45, and you'll still be the winning bidder. The only way you'd lose out on this book is if somebody came in and bid more than $2. Then it's up to you. And that happens all the time. That's called a bidding war. And what happens is that's what eBay is based on. That's their business model. So what they're hoping is with about a minute left or 5 minutes left, usually they'll let you know via your phone that somebody's interested in the item. You're losing. You go back in and you get kind of in a bidding war back and forth. And hopefully, if you're smart, you stop. But if you're not, like most of us, you get emotionally involved, or you get that, oh, I don't want to lose this. So you end up paying more for the book than you wanted to, or more than there would be other listings, and you don't find that out, and you get kind of buyer's remorse, and we all know how that works. There's a way against this, okay? And I'm going to explain another thing that happens in this case. There's a thing called shill bidding, and shill bidding is the one scam that I can tell you straight up happens all the time, and it is one of the underbelly things of eBay. Not saying it happens often, but I'm saying on high dollar items, big dollar items, it happens all the time. I honestly never did it myself. I wouldn't do it. eBay has a way to sniff it out. I didn't believe in it. I honestly am one of those strange people, believe in karma. I think that if you treat people like crap, crap comes your way. So I tried never to do that, but it does happen, and I'll explain how it works. Let's say I have a New Mutants 98 that right now it is at $150. There's a $150 bid on it. Somebody that bid this $150 is willing to pay $300. But because they don't have anybody bidding against them right here, it stays at $150. So what the seller will do is the seller will go and he'll talk to his buddy and he'll say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to bid on my item, and I want you to bid $2,500, and say it was an accident. So his buddy comes and bids $2,500. Now what happens to this? It jumps to $300 and probably $10, with the guy that bid $2,500 as the winning bidder. But what it allows the seller to do is the seller can look and see, this guy is willing to bid $300, because it's going to show that his bid jumped from $150 to $300, and then this guy that did the $2,500 made it jump to $300, and he's not the winning bidder anymore. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is the guy that bid $2,500 goes in now and he retracts his bid. As long as he did it with at least 12 hours left, you can retract your bid, no problem. So now he retracts his bid. It jumps back to the $150. This guy still has this, but the difference is the seller knows that you're willing to pay $300 for it, because he just saw the maximum amount of your bid. So what do you think is going to happen to this item with about 5 minutes left, or with about a minute left? He's going to either have his buddy or another person going to come in and bid $297, which now this $150 item jumps to the maximum bid that this guy's willing to pay, $300, and he ends up winning it. But he ends up paying like double what he would have if the seller was honest. So that's what's called shill bidding. Doesn't have to be a thing that makes you keep bouncing and over bidding, but all it does do is it shows this guy your maximum bid, which is where something comes in called sniping, snipe program, and that's what you want to do. Now, sniping gets a bad name because people feel it's kind of a bad way to do business. I don't think that way. I think all I'm doing is protecting myself. And here's what snipe program does. Snipe program puts what you say is your maximum bid on an item with about 3 seconds or 4 seconds before that thing ends. So what happens is you're going to do one of two things as the sniper. You're either going to win it, or somebody has you outbid from the beginning. It jumps the item up in price, but you didn't win, but that's okay, because there's other items. There's always more books. There's always more stuff coming down the pike. You don't have to worry about that, but at least you didn't overpay for it. I use a program, and I've talked about this. I get absolutely nothing from them. They don't know that I'm talking about them. I use it. It's called EasySniper.com. EasySniper.com, just like it sounds, but E and Z are you do instead of EASY. EasySniper.com. The way it works is this. You put the item number in, you put your maximum bid in, and it puts that bid in with now it doesn't mean that you're going to pay that. It just means that your bid is going to go $1 or $2 more than the highest bid up to the maximum you're going to pay. So it's not like it causes you to pay more than you would have, but all it does do is put that maximum bid in. Again, the way eBay worked, like I mentioned, with the $150 and $3 item, is it doesn't bounce it up automatically. It only bounces it $1 or $2 above the highest bid. So if the highest bid was $150, let's use our same example. Let's say this guy bid $150, okay, on an item, and I put a snipe bid for $315, but this guy was willing to bid up to $300. What it'll do is it'll come in and put a snipe program. I'll end up winning it, and it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $303, because it'll go over his highest bid and then up to here, but it won't go as high as $315 unless somebody else had a bid in up to that. So in other words, it's not going to max out it, but I'm still going to win the item. and it's going to be, it's going to be for, I'm not going to get in a bidding war. Get in a bidding war, you end up again sometimes paying more for something than you want to because your emotions get involved. What does Easy Sniper cost? Easy Sniper costs, I think, 0.02 cents on winning bids. Means if you have it try to snipe 100 items and you lose 98, you pay nothing, not a dime, not a cent on those 98 things. On the thing you won, I think it's 2 cents. You pay something like 2 cents per $100. So, for example, I load up like $10 in the program. That's how they ask. They ask that you load it. That $10 lasts me 6 months. And you can snipe small things, $1.50 things, to cars. You name it. It puts it on. Another nice thing about it. Let's say you win an item. Let's say you see 6 different things that you want to snipe. And you put those 6 things in the program. You win this first one, all you do is go and get these other ones and delete them. You have up to 5 minutes before the items are going to end to delete the item. No harm, no foul. Doesn't put the snipe in, doesn't do anything. You do have to trust the program. You do have to give it your login information, obviously your password and your username. And the reason for that is it's your proxy. It basically goes in and does the bidding for you. The nice thing is there's no sleeping, there's no eating and forgetting about it, there's no anything. It does it automatically for you. That's either a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. I trust the program inherently. It's never been hacked, it's never had problems with it, anything like that. Now there are other programs, there are other things you can do. I mean, there's some that will remind you. It's like an alarm clock, tells you to get in and look at the thing and all that. I like this one because I set it and forget it. Basically, I'll take an hour or two during some days, go through eBay, look at the books that I would like to get, load them in, and then forget about it. But you do have to remember to erase the bids if you win something, so it doesn't do more than 2. And if there's 2 bids that are within 5 minutes of one another, obviously it could create a problem. But if you win the first thing and the other thing doesn't end for a day or 2 days, you just delete the snipe. It's not a problem. It's nicer than when you're on eBay. If you're mass bidding on 6 or 7 things and you're high bidder and you win the first one, now you're kind of sweating it a little bit. I hope somebody overbids me, or I have to retract bids or whatever for the stuff underneath there. This Easy Sniper takes that thing away from you. You don't have to worry about that. The other thing that it's nice for is it keeps you consistent. It keeps you from getting emotionally involved. You set it, forget it. Don't get into bidding wars. Don't get into this $2, $2, $2, $2, and then you end up paying more for it. What I always do is I see a book. I say, this is what I'm willing to pay for that book. I'll go in, put the item, the snipe, and like I mentioned, 1 of 2 things happen. Either I win it for what I want, or somebody has had me bid from go, and they overbid me. As soon as it puts in my bid, somebody has already bid more than that, and it goes up over that, and I lose. Again, no big deal. Not the end of the world. In regards to looking at items to win on eBay, you use that same philosophy in reverse, which means a lot of times people will put a bid up. They'll have a book, say, worth $150. They have $100 invested in the book. So what they'll do is they'll make the initial bid $99, but the fair market value is $150. More often than not, that book gets no traffic, none, because everybody's looking at the books similar to it that they've started with 99-cent, $2 bids, $3 bids, etc., and that's where all the attention goes to. I don't do that. What I do is I look for those books that are set at $99. I know in my mind it's worth $150, but I also know that it doesn't get a lot of traffic because that's a scare bid. That scares people away. So what I'll often do is put a $100 bid on that, snipe it, and see if I can get it for that. Sometimes it works, Sometimes it doesn't, but certainly the items that have small starting prices get more traffic, get more eyeballs than those that have bigger ones. So those are just a few of my eBay tricks, if you will, ways to use it. If you have any questions, if I didn't explain something clearly, please feel free to mention it or hit me out on Instagram, whatever. I'd be happy to explain. I have no problem sharing my experiences and little tricks and all that. If it can help somebody win something, I think it's a good thing. It's not bad. Hopefully that's the way everybody else feels in the community. It's sure the way I feel. Once again, guys, stay safe. Wash your hands, all that kind of stuff. Wear a mask if you have to. I know it looks silly, but hey, if it protects you from breathing on people and getting stuff in your lungs, so be it. Hopefully this will all be over in a couple weeks and we'll be able to go back to normal. Thanks once again, Gino Bonino. I am out, guys. Leave a like if you learned something. Leave a dislike if you didn't. No, I'm kidding. Leave a like no matter what, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now. Peace.